Right, okay, this is the third video of the practice exam test series that we've been doing. This one's going to cover SLR 11, and these exam questions can be found under the SLR 11 tab on Connect. So if you are watching this first and you haven't done the questions, I suggest you do that. Otherwise you're just not going to learn anything this way. It's just a way of reviewing your answers and so on. Without further ado then, so first question, the website is hosted in the USA. Explain how the structure of the internet allows users in other countries to access the website. So, 2-mark question, you need to get the fact that computers are networked and that's how they're communicating, and that's more or less going to get you the marks really. So just look at the mark scheme. Computers and internet access are connected to networks, and then obviously that forms part of the internet. And then networks between continents are connected by dedicated connections. If you actually do a little bit of research on this, the internet backbone, it's one huge kind of cable that runs under the Atlantic Ocean and so on, across to America, in fact from Europe to America. Well worth a bit of a side read, that really, just you can see the scale of how networks are connected across the world. Part B. The website is accessed via domain name starsandstripes.com. What is the name of the top level domain used in this address? Okay, and when we look at top level domains, there's a nice diagram that actually, if you do the practice exercises related to this that are on Connect, the worksheet, there's a nice diagram that shows you the different kind of levels of domains used. So obviously this one, that's the top level domain that we're on about here, so the .com. Just a simple 1 mark for that one. Part C, the IP address assigned to starsandstripes.com is this number here. Explain the relationship between the domain name and the IP address. Right, so if ever you've done any of this, I've done quite a bit of it myself, you actually buy domain names and then they're registered with an address. So a bit like your IP address is a bit like your home address. And an example of that was giving a number. Alright, so when a host sends a DNS request, a domain name server request, so it hits that first to find the domain name. Alright, the IP address is returned based on whatever's kept on the domain name server. So this is kind of translating really what the name is to what the actual address is. That makes sense. And then why a website's not addressed by their IP addresses. So you could actually, in theory, if I've not actually tested this, if this works, Stars and Stripes, if that is the actual IP address, you could type that into Google Chrome, for example, and it should show you that. Alright, main reason being why we use Stars and Stripes, obviously this was realised earlier on, during the kind of explosion of the internet and so on, that people can't remember the addresses, but like people can't remember mobile phone numbers, for example. So that's why domain names are used. Right, just 1 mark for that one. Number 2 then. So data from a private local network can be forwarded across the internet using packet switching. Describe how this is achieved. Make reference in your answer to the use of routers, packets, and IP protocol. So IP protocol, obviously a set of rules that are being used to transfer packets, which are little bits of data, if you like, to routers that then obviously sort that and then forward those packets of data on to wherever they've been requested to do so. A bit like in your home network that you would do that as well. So there's 6 available here. This is quite extensive. This was obviously more than 6. So any of these, so each device on the network is given an IP address. That's massively important, otherwise it can't be found. Data is broken up into packets. So, if you're sending like a 10 megabyte music file, it won't just send it in one big lump. It will break it down into what's known as packets. There'll be do more investigation into networking. That's kind of a big thing, really. And it's sent over the network with a given set of rules. In this case, IP, Internet Protocol. So data broken up to packets, as we said. IP addresses are given. Addresses on a private local network are considered local to one another. Yeah. So Within that private network yourself, like your home network perhaps, that would be an example of a private local network. If the destination IP address is not a local one, data is forwarded to another router that would be connected to that network perhaps, maybe. Packets are passed on to other routers that know the destination of the node or another name of computer. Alright, and again, there's also adaptive based on the availability of routes. Yeah, so it will work out the best route as well to do that. If eventually it doesn't find the end of the route, it does something what's called time to live, which you could also look into as a bit of a side note if you're interested, that it will actually time out if it didn't find a route in the end. And then the path these packets may take can vary. Again, you may find certain nodes are not operational, in which case it will then have to kind of backtrack and go around another way to find out, where it's going to send this data to. And when they're at destination, they are reassembled in order. Okay, and that's what that means is the packets are reassembled in order as they have. So they're given an order of process as they're sent over that particular network. Okay, question 3. Attacks on systems are frequently identified and blocked using various techniques. Describe the role of a firewall in blocking unauthorized access. So 2 marks this one. Firewall inspects packets to find the port they are attempting to access. If the port is blocked, the packet is rejected. So on your firewall will do that. You have hundreds of port numbers if you've ever done this. So again, if you do get into any kind of web development, what you would do is upload the web pages that you create, and you've all done these in the last unit, SLR 12. When you make a HTML file, you could upload that via an FTP server. All right, that uses a specific port number in order to do that. So it's like a route through, and that's what that's referring to there. So if you were to block that particular port number, it couldn't go through. Also, you have open ports as well, which then allow you to send data packets across a network. Describe one other method used to maintain the security of a network. Yeah, again, in Camel, for example, we have a proxy server, so that's like another computer really, and it's in the way of you accessing the internet if you're in Camel. Obviously, it has to go through that first, so it's another way of filtering something in order before you access the internet. So again, it says that enables anonymous surfing, can be used to filter undesirable content and then logs data. So if any website you would view in Camel College, for example, or at home for that matter, will be logged. Antivirus software to prevent viruses from entering the system, of course, yeah, and educating users and employees not to insert in memory sticks that are picked up off the street. Yeah, so again, stopping kind of any unauthorized access. Again, as it says there, you could have many different answers to this one, really, as long as they're legitimate enough and they're dealing with security. Number 4, a TCP over IP then, so transfer control protocol. This is the standard for sending data over a network. So if you were to save a Word document in Camel College and you're saving it on the server, it's using this protocol, so it's sending within the Camel College network. So the stack is used extensively. This question's asked, if you do get asked a question on networks, it tends to be about this actually, and knowing these different layers. So describe the role of each of the 4 layers of the stack. So application, used to provide network services for applications. Transport establishes the communication between the 2 points where you're sending them through, and again, this is what I talked about earlier about splitting the data packets up. Network determines where the data should be logically sent. Alright, so destination, where it's coming from, and then the link controls the physical movement of data, however it's being transported, whether that be wireless or wired. And then a MAC address, which is, if you've heard of those, there's an actual physical address on your device. You have them on your phones, your laptops, your computers, your Nintendo Switches, wherever. Everything has a MAC address in order to connect to a network. Okay. And that's the last one. All right. Again, any questions or comments or anything you don't understand on any of these questions, or you want me to, elaborate a little bit further on one, email or get in touch on Teams, and we'll go from there.